Oh yeah, we're in the Super Bowl too. Thank you, Luigi.
Shout out to Luigi.
Shout out to Luigi. I don't know how I forgot about that, but we were on the field for the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Crazy. So again, going back to hustle, we have a formula that works.
Yeah.
So for those that are watching right now, if you want to know how to get your brand in front of people that matter, reach out to them. Send them your product. So prior to the Super Bowl, once we knew that was Tampa Bay and Kansas City playing, we did the same. It was the same playbook.
Yeah.
I think you can appreciate this as an athlete. It was the playbook. We created a playbook. This is our playbook. We're going to just run the play over and over. And again, you know, having a brother-in-law and business partner who also is an ex-professional athlete.
Yeah.
He thinks like an athlete. I think like the marketer / businessman. Cheers, brother. It's good to.
But thank you for coming out,
Good to
man.
reconnect
I know,
with you.
Fresh off the plane. Man, I've known you for a few years now, brother. So, Carlos, you got a hell of a story, man. You got a hell of a story. And I love it because you have a story and you're on a journey. So, on this one, I think we've talked a number of topics throughout our careers, right? One, we were both corporate.
Mm-hmm.
So we did the corporate transition into entrepreneurship. Your venture into it, I think, is extremely interesting that I want you to share as part of your story. And then you've also done a few things, right? You've written an amazing book. You've done a lot of speaking engagements. You've kind of elevated into more direct product sales, right, in D2C. You've explored all social channels in any organic vehicle known to man. You are probably first on all of them. So yeah, I mean, I think with this, man, we can talk any which way you want, man. You know, this is us on the roof with cigars. Thank you for bringing the infamous Davidoffs out.
One of my favorites.
So I appreciate you for that. So yeah, man, we here. So
We're here. We're doing it.
yeah. You got your son here, man. He done parallel parked in the garage. You know what I mean? That was impressive.
Lil
You know?
Lowe's is actually bigger than me.
Yeah. Yes. This is a fact. You are now Lil Carlos, which is part of the legacy.
Damn.
Nah, but look, man, I think there's a couple things I want to touch on, right? So I give a highlight. One, I want to talk about your transitions because I think a lot of us see ourselves in that, and that's part of your story, right? Is each pivot point and how you've kind of taken a situation and you've made the best of it and elevated, and you're continuously elevating. So I want to touch on your transitions. The other thing I want to touch on is your passion points. What's like driving and motivating you all the time? So let's first start with your transition stories, right? So you had a career, corporate, but even before you got into corporate, talk about how you got into corporate, because I always love that story.
So, first of all, it's a great way to tee it up. You know, I think of myself a lot as a Swiss Army knife, if you will. You know, I love Swiss Army knives because they serve different functions and different roles. And I think that as a professional today, boxing yourself into being known as a marketer or as a speaker or as a social media marketer, what have you, product marketer, it's one of the worst things that you can do. Because when you have a skill set, well, let me take a step back. As an entrepreneur, you have multiple skill sets. And you know this. Coming from corporate marketing, you know, even you have multiple skill sets. There's presentation skills, there's analytical skills, sales, et cetera, et cetera. But also being a chameleon is extremely important, especially being a person of color. I'm Hispanic, first generation Cuban American. I have found myself in situations throughout my life, you know, pre-career, i.e. in high school, where I moved around. I lived in, I was born and raised in Fort Lauderdale, but I lived in Bozeman, Montana, Salt Lake City.
Wow.
I'm not Mormon, right? So in my early childhood, when I was my son's age, I moved around a lot.
Okay.
And my parents, first and foremost, being, you know, immigrants, they came over from Cuba at a very young age. They always modeled to me strong work ethic.
Yeah.
I was very, you know, privileged, grew up in an affluent household, but they modeled the value of hard work. With that being said, I moved around a lot as a kid. So I had to, again, fit in like a chameleon. Whether I was in Bozeman, Had to learn country music and about Sublime and Limp Bizkit when I was in
Shout
Utah.
out to Sublime,
Yeah,
though, because
when
that
I
shit
was
was good.
yeah, absolutely, it was really good. I did it all for the nookie.
Yeah. If y'all missed that one, go look that up. Put that in your Spotify.
So when I lived in Utah, and I did my sophomore and junior year of high school out there, I wasn't Mormon, but I was hanging out with the Mormon kids. I was learning their culture,
Yeah.
if you will. I'm one of those individuals at a young age learned that you have to adapt in order to survive. And the same holds true as an adult in the corporate space, entrepreneurial space. As a professional, I spent a period of time living in San Francisco, Silicon Valley. I had to learn how to adapt, swim amongst those sharks there. But, you know, I attribute a lot of my success, if you will, as a professional to my upbringing, my childhood. And I think it's so important that anyone watching this realize that you shouldn't run away from your past or your upbringing. So many folks I've met throughout the years never really want to speak about their upbringing because there's stories in there,
Yeah.
People got into trouble. So what? I got into trouble too,
Yeah.
you hung out with the wrong crowd, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're a bad person.
Yeah.
You learn from those experiences. I dropped out of high school when I was 17 going on to 18. I don't know if you knew that about me.
Yeah.
So I didn't go to college until I was 30, until I was already in the corporate game, if you will, and learned that you needed to have some form of college education in order to advance. Unfortunately, that's the way it's, been established.
Yeah.
But I always learned early on that no matter the situation that you're put in, as long as you outwork and out-hustle everyone else, it doesn't matter what your skin tone is. It doesn't matter what education you have or you don't have. And that's something that, I try to model my kids all the time. I'm a dad to 5 kids. 2 of my oldest kids being teenagers now, 15 and 12, almost 13. And it's something that I model to them a lot now that I'm older in my life, is you don't necessarily need to have the degree from the prestigious university to be respected or to even show that you're educated. You need to force yourself to learn. You need to want to learn, first and foremost. And you need to build relationships with people. And, I'm sitting here with you because this is a byproduct of a relationship that we've built throughout the years.
I think it's always interesting. Like, whenever I hear hard work, I think people, to your point, talk about everything other than the hard work. And in business and entrepreneurship and just good fortune, there's only one constant, which is actually hard work. Like, that's the common denominator of success. Like, you have to work hard. Some of these other things then stack on top of that. But without hard work, none of that shit matters. So I love that that's the foundation that you've established, obviously, for yourself, but then instilling and teaching to your kids. Because a lot of stuff we can't control, but you can always control your effort.
Let me tell you something. A lot of folks, and I agree with that 110%. A lot of folks, they seek validation from external sources, i.e. social media likes, engagement, all that stuff that looks cool on the surface. The best form of validation, Keenan, is documented success. And what I mean by documented success is when I'm sitting in front of a client that I'm making a pitch to consult to, and they want to know what I've done, I give them a list of references.
Yeah.
People that they can actually call. I can give them their phone number. They can call them right now. I have success stories that aren't just stories, but they're strategies that I can walk a client through. That for me, really, as a professional, as an entrepreneur, is the best form of validation. And I think we're living in a generation right now where a lot of people are being misled. They consider their role models and heroes to be people that don't necessarily have the documented success, but on the surface they look and appear to be successful. And, I think, again, it's scary. I think about my kids because they see these figures on social media and they don't know how these people even got to where they're at. So when you say that, like, your podcast is about really the meat and potatoes of one's journey, right? Being in the trenches, what got someone like a Brandon Marshall, to be where he's at today, and others that you've had on your show, I applaud that because there needs to be more of that. And it needs to be modeled not so much for folks of our generation, if you will, but those are on the come up.
Yeah, I think for me though, right, the premise is about showcasing the journey. Because again, you can't control sometimes wins and losses. A lot of other factors that go into that, right? So before you have your documented successes, right, and wins, what gave you the confidence was actually your work ethic and the effort that you put in, right, and the hard work. So what I say is, when in doubt, you can fall back on the fact that you know you gave it your all. And I think what's happening too often in social media and a lot of the things that we look at is the successes look so quick,
Mm-hmm.
right? Very microwave generation, instant
Facts.
gratification, and we lose sight of all the work and the effort, right? Because a lot of the people that we see that have won per se, it was luck, right? A lot of us have a lot of luck and good fortune.
Why do you say it's luck?
I think because sometimes somebody just recognized you and gave you a shot, right? And that's through the grace of God, right? Now, what you do with that opportunity is a product of your effort, your work, and what you put into it to get to that point. So that's why I always, before I get to successes, I focus on work. I focus on, did you prepare? Did you give 100%? Because here's what you never want to happen, right? The opportunity comes and you weren't prepared and you squander the opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when the opportunity comes, sometimes you don't control that. But what you do with that opportunity is a byproduct, right, of what you put in before that moment came. So for me, I look at it as, look, I could have gotten to a championship because some people got hurt, right? Happens all the time in sports. You didn't control that. But when you get to that championship game, were you prepared? Did you study film?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know your keys? Are you in shape? Right? Have you done all of those things? And I think I like to focus on those intangibles, right? Those things that were a product of the effort that you put in before that moment came, before your name and your number got called, as we
Right.
say in sports. And I think with you, one of the things that I respect so heavily is that you put in the work time and time again. We don't need to talk about the clients that you've won because, look, a lot of people may not get a chance to get in front of those clients, right? Some of those because we were in front of brand innovators. Shout out to Brandon and some of those guys on how we connect back in the day. And there's different, opportunities to be exposed. But you were a student of the things that you were working on.
Student
right?
of the game.
When you looked at social media, you studied it to the point where then you felt you were an expert in it and could write a book, right, on it. So let's talk about some of the things in the process about how you approach the work, right, and how you prepare.
So to that point, being a student of the game, love it, because one of the things I've often say to folks that I mentor now at this stage of my career is that you really have to be a student of the game, and you have to be what I refer to as a player coach. You can't just be a coach.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be the author.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be the guru. Everyone wants to be on stage speaking because it looks really cool.
Yeah.
And people are going to applaud you. Don't get me wrong. There's a high that comes along with that. But when that high wears off, if you don't have the mindset of, I need to go back to the lab and keep learning. Like, I'll give you an example, man. This last year, and I know we're going to talk about Outlaw here shortly. This last year, I've been heads down, man. Heads down, focus on growing my e-commerce brand.
Yeah.
I struggled writing the update to the End of Marketing version 2 that comes out later this year in October. I got hit up today by a publication asking me, hey, do you have any fresh material? Because we want to share it to our 3 million email subscribers. And I had to say to this person, I haven't written content in over a year.
Wow.
So that's, in some cases, I could say I've slacked off, right? I haven't created content like this. This is really the first podcast. This is the first time I'm on video in about 6 months.
Yeah.
So I can be hard on myself and say, well, I've slacked off, but no, not really. I've been working on many other things in the background.
Yeah.
But for the younger generation that's on the level up, they have to force themselves to do the grunt work.
Yeah.
Not outsource it, but actually do it.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. 25 years old, I was laid off from the banking industry. And I started up an online job board. I knew nothing about marketing, social media. This is 2008.
Yeah.
Okay, at the height of the financial crisis. And I knew nothing about building a website, SEO,
Yeah.
social media, nothing.
Yeah.
I forced myself to learn. I spent a lot of late nights as a young father at 25 back then, watching videos, studying the craft, watching the Gary V's of the world back then. And you know what? I said to myself, one day I want to do this, but I'm not going to do it if I don't have the credentials. I'm not going to do it and be a fraud and have people call me out.
Yeah.
Because again, it's easy. I see this as a speaker. I see other speakers that if I were to really challenge them, they really don't know a lick of what they're talking about, but they're good at doing a presentation.
Yeah.
Right? So when I sat down and wrote The End of Marketing, it was really a decade worth of me just doing a complete knowledge dump in terms of everything I've learned from the point of becoming an entrepreneur at 25
Yeah.
all the way through my career as a corporate marketer and now being on the other side as an independent, as a consultant. And along the way, what I've learned, establishing a personal brand, you know, all the ins and outs of what people need to do
Yeah.
as a personal brand. And again, that's the byproduct there, but that's not everything.
Yeah.
And I say that because this book became the goal, but once I accomplished the goal, then I said to myself, well, there needs to be something else besides this.
Yeah.
There's something more to Carlos Gil than just being a best-selling author and a public speaker.
I think what's great about that though is you know, as I'm kind of running around and talking to college students and, you know, been teaching for almost 10 years now, one of the things that people come to me about a lot is, well, where did you get your confidence? Right? As if it's like this magical thing that I just was like born with. And I think as you're talking about it, right, like you see some of these speakers, what they're able to convey is confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's their shtick. It's just in how they deliver, right? That's what makes a great presentation. What I love about what you just said, though, is that you found your confidence through the work. Through actually just grinding, rolling up your sleeves, and learning every aspect of what it was that you were going to talk about or what you were going to write about. And that's where the confidence comes. So I think, you know, for anyone watching, when they're at these moments of transitions, those are the times that you're the most vulnerable.
Absolutely.
That you're the most insecure.
Absolutely.
And the way to get out of that is through work.
Absolutely.
It's through your effort. That's where you can find your confidence, right? An athlete, a boxer, right? All these people, they find their confidence by going through hell in practice. So that when the game comes, they're like, shit, I already been tested. You know, boxers like, nothing's harder than the 27 rounds that I had to spar back to back.
Oh, yeah.
A month ago.
Oh, yeah.
This is only a 10-round fight. I'm good. I can give it my all because I know I'm not going to run out of gas.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So those are the things that I think all of us, when you're in these moments that you've talked about of, hey, being laid off, right? Or going from, you know, without a high school or college degree in transitioning into these things, you found your confidence in your lane by studying, by putting in the work, by being a player coach, through humility. And I think that's something that's admirable that a lot of us can follow on because honestly, personally, that is where I find mine. My confidence comes because I know I put in the hours. I know I was grinding. So I'm like, yeah, okay. I don't need to prep to get on the stage because I'm like, I've been prepping for the last 15 years.
Right.
And, you know, and I think that's what you're doing. I think that's why you're able to display the level of confidence that you have. And I think that's a great point to take away for anybody watching. So, look, you've had a lot of transitions, a lot of hardships, in the transitions, and you've weathered all those storms. Now you're kind of, what's this latest transition, right? So you said you had your head down for a year, building an e-commerce brand. So talk about that.
Man, so 2020, I gotta say, was one of the best years of my life. As crazy as it is to say that, considering the circumstances with COVID and, you know, all the unfortunate, you know, deaths and whatnot that came from a result of it. So, you know, I want to be empathetic, but also be realistic that 2020 was a reset. It was a hard reset for probably all of us. Right?
Every single one of us.
I started the year living in Miami. The book came out. I was set to go on a global book tour, and then everything came to a screeching halt in March. And I was really at a crossroads in my life. So, you know, to get personal, I was living in LA, got out of a relationship, and was just, really kind of trying to rediscover myself, if you will. And in the process, I found myself in Banner Elk, North Carolina in mid-March with my wife, who at the time I was separated from, going through a divorce, in full transparency.
Yeah.
My kids with her, my brother-in-law, my family.
Yeah.
Family that hadn't seen me in about 3 years.
Wow.
Because they had just completely written me off, right? I was the villain, so to speak. And I was in a cabin in the middle of nowhere, literally nowhere. If you look up Banner Elk, North Carolina, like their population is like 1,000 people.
Yeah, when you were telling me, I was like, where is this?
So don't ask me why we ended up in Banner Elk. I believe in God. I'm a man of faith. I believe it was just destiny. It was God's plan to end up in Banner Elk. And it was mid-March. All my speaking engagements fell out. Corporate clients fell out. Went from having a very successful agency to literally having to lay off every person that worked for me. And, life was pretty shitty at that point in time. And again, going back to your point, I'm a person that doesn't just lay down and allow myself to be defeated. I've been fired from jobs, laid off, had to move around, failed personal relationships. So again, COVID wasn't necessarily going to defeat me.
Yeah.
So very quickly I started thinking, well, what's going to happen? Some friends like you in the industry were kind of getting into the PPE space and whatnot, making a buck. And I started thinking, well, I could go down that route, or I could actually create a brand out of this. And I've always wanted to create a brand.
Yeah.
And I think you can absolutely relate to this because you've created several brands. You got Sunday and other brands. And when you work at a corporation, that's the best form of paid education that you can possibly get.
Yeah.
Because when you work at a corporation, you're able to operate under someone else's P&L. It's not your money, but so you're kind of protected to an extent.
Yeah.
But you're able to see how brands are developed, how they're grown, how they're rebranded. No pun intended. You learn all these things.
Absolutely.
And I said to myself, there's going to be any point in my lifetime where I'm going to actually create something from the ground up. It's going to be right now. So my brother-in-law, Reggie, who's from Los Angeles, me being from Miami.
I didn't know he was from LA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Reggie went to Bellflower High.
Okay.
Played baseball, Bellflower. Got drafted by Minnesota Twins, so he's an LA boy. Shout out, Reggie. We would literally smoke cigars and drink scotch every day, and we started putting our heads around what are we going to do to actually survive this thing, because we don't know how long COVID is going to keep us on the sidelines.
Yeah.
And we started seeing this growing trend around masks. Masks were becoming required, in Europe, Asia, and it was only going to be a matter of time before they became required in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So one night we're like this chilling. We're like, dude, let's do a fashionable mask. Let's do a mask that has character, that athletes want to wear, celebrities, influencers, people want to wear them with their sneakers. They want to pair it with the Jordans. Ladies want to pair the mask with the purses. And let's give this brand really an identity. And that's where Outlaw Mask was born, in a cabin in Banner Elk, North Carolina. And what I will say this is, creating a product is very easy. I think you can probably relate to this or agree that actually to go out and procure a product to be made is pretty flippin' easy. Mm-hmm. But to actually grow and create a brand that people want to identify with, buy from, endorse, that's challenging.
Yeah.
And that's really where my expertise as a corporate marketer really came out. I was like, all right, I really want to do this. Within a period of a month, 30 days, we identified the name. And I will say that in the year 2020, now 2021, it's really hard to come up with a brand name because all the good brand names are taken.
There are no URLs left.
I'm going through this now with the new venture that I'm working on. There's no good URLs. There's no good names. You really have to get creative.
Yeah.
So, that aside, neither one of us are cowboys. I'm Hispanic. He's African American. Yeah. We like street fashion. We like hip hop culture.
Yeah.
But we said, we're going to be outlaws, and we're going to give new meaning to what an outlaw is. And outlaws are going to be people that do good. We're going to show through the content that we post that we care about, the communities that we're in, the communities where we live. So to make a long story very short, we started this brand in a period of 30 days. Procured product, had it designed, logo done, website. We were off to the races. May 20th, we launched. Initially, we sold a few masks. We kind of went through our entire Rolodex, if you will, spammed the shit out of everyone that I knew. Yeah. And I tell you, it was really the second time of my career where I dealt with imposter syndrome. You hear this term imposter syndrome all the time.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just cliche. People talking about imposter syndrome. The first time I dealt with imposter syndrome was halfway through writing the end of marketing. I was in like chapter 6. And writing a book is a transformative experience. You learn a lot about yourself because for the entire time that you're writing a book, unless you hire someone to write it for you, which I don't recommend, when you're writing a book, you're in a room and it's just you and your thoughts and a keyboard.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of doubt that goes through your head. There's a lot of self-discovery. I call it self-transformation, because you have to push through, because you say that you're going to write a book. You tell everyone, hey, my book's coming out. Guess what? You need to have a book that comes out.
Got to do it.
And it's not just having a book that comes out. It's actually having a book that people want to buy, a book that has reviews, a book that gets you paid speaking engagement. There's so much that goes into it. So about halfway through chapter 6, I started dealing with imposter syndrome. I started thinking, well, shit, what if no one buys this book? I'm a marketer writing a book about marketing, about social media marketing. What if no one buys this thing?
Yeah.
So that was like the first time I dealt with imposter syndrome. The book became a bestseller. I got over that very quickly.
Yeah.
The second time I dealt with imposter syndrome was starting Outlaw Masks, because I've never started a brand before. I've worked for brands, never started one. And at the same time, the least thing I wanted to do was associate myself with negativity. I've dealt with a lot of negativity and adversity throughout my career. I've had my share of haters, people talking shit, all that. The least thing I wanted to hear now was from the people that are haters of mine, now saying, oh, this guy's trying to profit from the pandemic. Meanwhile, Costco and Walmart and all these stores got pallets of hand sanitizer and paper masks and all sorts of shit. But again, people disregard that. They want to pick on the small guy.
Usually.
So when we started our brand, I was just trying to keep very hush-hush. I was tapping into my email list, but everything was just going out as Outlaw Mask, Outlaw Mask. Yeah. All the content, like to this day, me and my business partner / brother-in-law, Reggie, we laugh about this because I made him the face of our brand, and he didn't know what I was doing at the time. But I was like, hey, man, all of our TikTok content, like, you're a good-looking guy. You got a good personality. Like, I'm going to just be behind the scenes. I'll do all the editing, all the filming, but, like, you're the guy.
Yeah.
I'll just kind of coach you along the way of what to say. Long story short, man, we're about 3 months into this business. We weren't selling many masks.
Okay.
And he wasn't saying it. I wasn't saying it. But I think internally we were both like, maybe we got in over our head. We ordered 1,000 masks for our first order.
Yeah.
And we weren't even like into like selling 200 or 300 masks when we're like, shit, man.
Yeah.
This might not have been the right move for us, but we took a risk. And I think, again, in business and life, you have to take risks.
Have to.
Because if you don't take risks, guess what? There's going to be someone else that does for their own business. And you don't know what's on the other side of taking a risk. So around this time, the NBA bubble was taking form.
That's right.
Up the street from us in Orlando. We're up in Jacksonville. And I said to Reggie, look, man, I got an idea. When I worked in corporate marketing at Winn-Dixie or LinkedIn or any of these brands, we would always do influencer marketing. And we would send influencers product. Sometimes we'd give them $100, $200, let them go off and run with it.
Yeah.
Let's send a mask to every single NBA player in the bubble. And if one of these players wears an Outlaw mask, just one, and posts it on their Instagram, it's the equivalent of doing an Instagram or Facebook ad buy.
100%.
Well, he looked at me and he's like, I don't agree with that. I think that's a foolish move. We haven't recouped our initial investment. Now you're suggesting that we spend more money to have more masks made, plus have like nice like shipping bags designed, plus the shipping. I was like, nah, like fuck that, man. Like we'll drive them to the bubble if we have to.
Yeah.
And we'll do content. We'll like make this a content play. We'll make this a PR play. We spent Saturday, Keenan, messaging every single NBA player on Instagram. Every single one. That was at the bubble. And what I learned very quickly is guys who are 23, 24, 25 years old. So the players, NBA players, they had to spend 3 days in quarantine when they first got to Orlando. And what I learned very quickly is that what these young men were doing was they were either playing PlayStation or Xbox, or they were watching Netflix, or they were on their social media. It was the only time in probably history that you could easily get on the radar of a professional athlete at the highest level.
I love it.
Easily.
Love it.
So I won't say who, but there was a player who played at the time for the 76ers that literally sent me the entire list of all the rooms of his entire team. Another player for another team that sent me to a T the contact info for the person at the NBA that we needed to get in touch with.
Wow.
So we moved fast.
Oh, I love it.
And, man, within a matter of a couple days, we sent a gang of masks, about 300 masks, to all the NBA players in the bubble. And we sent an Instagram message to each one of those players also to let them know. The psychology behind doing that, though, was they could hear in our voices that we're like them or similar to them.
Yeah.
They could hear in the way we were speaking, like, yo, man, like, it's Carlos with Outlaw mask. Like, yo, bro, we got this mask on the way to you. Let's get it. We were vibing that way. Mm-hmm. So when the masks touched down in Orlando and we saw the first guy, it was Dennis Schroeder. And it was when all the games were being canceled for Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, yeah.
The first player that wore a mask was Dennis Schroeder with the fist up. And it was on the Oklahoma City Thunder's Instagram page, and he's wearing our mask.
Wow.
Me and Reggie lost it, bro. You talk about a moment in time that I will never forget.
I love it.
And I say it, man. I'm actually having to hold myself back right now because I'm thinking about that moment. We had this year Anthony Edwards wear a mask. Our masks were in the finals last year. Like, we've had a lot of guys, man, wearing our masks. But that first player, and by the way, we did a collab with Schroeder. You know, during this season, he's with the Lakers or was with the Lakers. We'll see what happens. But we did collab with him. It was really dope. But that first moment, I will never forget. It was a moment. It honestly, it meant more than writing this book.
But I mean, again, man, I think your story is about the effort, right? You took the time to identify every player, message every player, package your mass up for every player, drive it down to them. And within that, because of all that effort, a couple folks recognized it and gave you a break. You didn't pay. You didn't have the money to pay, right? Who knows how much, right? Some of these influencers, and especially these athletes, the ticket is high.
We've never paid a dime to have a single athlete wear a mask.
That's effort.
And again, Anthony Edwards, first overall pick.
Come on.
In the draft. Not just rocking our masks, asking us, hey, can you send me more?
Love it.
You know, so it was a byproduct of we didn't give up. We believe in ourselves.
How many people have messaged every single one of their potential customers or influencers?
People are afraid, man, to be turned down.
Here's the other
and they're
thing.
afraid to take risks.
This brings me to a point, and I don't talk a lot about it directly, but we're going to talk about it now. When I tell folks that raising capital sometimes can be a crutch. Because when you raise capital and outside money that's not your own, you have a tendency to get lazy. And when it's your own and you don't have it, scarcity drives you. Hunger drives you. And so I tell everyone, you know, when you're upset that you haven't raised capital or some of these things, sometimes that's a blessing. That hunger will fuel you.
Absolutely.
It'll drive you forward. It'll drive you to message 300 players to try to get one break. And then that one could be a couple dozen. And then your business is on.
Like a rocket ship.
Like a rocket ship.
Come on, man. It went up like a rocket ship. So we had, in the bubble, not just dozens of players wearing our masks, but now we're on the social media accounts to these teams. Now we're on the Toronto Raptors, the Lakers Instagram account.
Earned media.
It's earned media. It's all free.
Yeah. But you earned it. You put in the work.
Yeah, oh, we did earn it.
You put in the work.
You know, we're in the finals. You know, my favorite team's the Heat. Reggie's a Lakers fan. We had Danny Green wearing our masks.
Wow. Look at that.
You know, Rondo when he was at the Lakers. You know, we were in the finals. We were in the finals, which is pretty dope.
You know what's great, man, is the two mass stories of the pandemic have both been on the podcast. And I think it's yours. And this was not intentional. I think it's beautiful just, and how God works. But it was yours. And then we had Rich Fresh on with the Henry mask.
Word.
And when I look at the two masks that had transcended culture, it was your guys' two masks. And both of you had the same approach. No paid influencer. It was all through hustle, and those folks became customers. And I think it's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful story. So, as we talk about the mass and now it's going to be an interesting time because the world's opening back up.
Yep.
Who knows where the U.S. is going to be in terms of mass production. But I think what you've identified is you've developed another skill.
Correct.
You've put another tool in your toolkit, right? In terms of brand building, D2C marketing, influencer marketing, on top of all the other skills that you already had.
Look, if we never sell another mask again, which very well eventually at some point we might not, just because of where the world is going, we built a brand that has 320,000 TikTok followers. We have an email list. We have phone numbers and home addresses for NBA players, NFL players, MLB. We're in MLB now.
Yeah.
So we are battle tested, and we've created a brand just based off of hustle, man.
Yeah.
It's again, it's crazy in a year how life can change from I'm sitting in this cabin, licking my wounds, and now I'm sitting here in the Hollywood Hills with you telling the story.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. And if I can do it, guess what? Anyone out there can do it.
And you did it in the middle of a pandemic.
In the middle of a pandemic.
In one of the hardest times.
With very little investment.
What about the Super Bowl?
Oh, yeah, we're in the Super Bowl, too. Thank you, Luigi.
Shout out to Luigi.
Shout out to Luigi. I don't know how I forgot about that, but we were on the field for the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Crazy. So, again, going back to hustle, we have a formula that works.
Yeah.
So for those that are watching right now, if you want to know how to get your brand in front of people that matter, reach out to them. Send them your product. So prior to the Super Bowl, once we knew that was Tampa Bay and Kansas City playing, we did the same. It was the same playbook.
Yeah.
I think you can appreciate this as an athlete. It was the playbook. We created a playbook. This is our playbook. We're going to just run the play over and over. And again, having a brother-in-law and business partner who also is an ex-professional athlete.
Yeah.
He thinks like an athlete. I think like the marketer/businessman.
Yeah.
So once he was like, holy shit, bro, like this is our playbook. Let's just keep running the same play. He always uses this analogy when you play Madden against a friend, right? You run the same play over and over that allows you to score the touchdown as long as they can't stop it.
Yeah.
So you just run that same play over and over. Then the person you're playing gets pissed and they rage quit.
Yeah.
Right? Because they can't stop you. So that's what we learned was our cheat code, if you will.
Yeah.
First of all, you have two minority founders, and that resonates with athletes.
Absolutely.
They see our mission. They see what we're about. We're creating TikTok content, giving masks to employees at a Walmart.
Yeah.
Right? We're now beating our chest saying we got the best mask. Like, I love your homie's mask. I seen LeBron wear it.
Yeah.
I would love LeBron to wear my mask, but it's cool.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how the game goes in business, right? My whole point here is that playbook, we then start hitting up MLB players. MLB players, they want our mask. They start hitting us. But going back to the Super Bowl, we sent masks to every single player in the Super Bowl. Game day comes around, all of a sudden we're on the homepage of ESPN. ESPN does the top 10 arrival outfits, and guess what? Number one, he's a defensive end for the Chiefs, wearing our mask with his fit.
Who?
I can't pronounce his name. I want to say he's Nigerian.
Yeah, Ndamukong Suh.
No, it's not Sue.
Okay.
No, this guy plays for the Chiefs.
Okay.
But he's a defensive end.
Okay.
Really
Okay.
big dude. I think he wears number 92.
Mm.
But not only did he wear our mask with his pregame attire, but he wore our mask on the field for warm-ups.
Love it.
So now we're on the field of the Super Bowl. And again, like, these are things, man, that it's, you said the word luck before. I don't like that word in business
Mm-hmm.
because there is no such thing as luck from my standpoint. If you grind it out and you work hard, good things will happen to you when they're supposed to happen to you. And I think a lot of people out there, they try to rush their success. They want it to happen too fast.
Mm-hmm.
And, me and Reggie, we've had this conversation, man, countless times, dude, in the last year. Like, a lot of our success is attributed to what he and I have gone through as men, as entrepreneurs, being family. There's this misconception that family businesses don't work. We've dispelled that.
Yeah.
Our family's become a lot closer
Love
as a result of our business. But again, man, like, having a playbook, running those plays, it's critical.
So, you talk about family. Let's talk about what's driving you, right? Each transition, each journey, it's been hard, right? These things, to your point, then it hasn't been luck. You've had to fight for every single win. What motivates you?
At this stage of my life and my career, I'm 37 now. I'm going to be 38 in August. It's my family.
Okay.
It's my family that motivates me and drives me. I've been away from my family for so long. My son who's sitting over there is 15. I've seen so much of his life and my kid's life through the lens of a phone by not really being present, or by wanting to showcase to the world an image of a family man. All the meanwhile, I'm out running around, getting to mischief, doing things I shouldn't be doing as a married man. My wife and I, we split for a period of time. I was in a relationship with someone else, got out of that relationship, and then, was really trying to discover myself. And I realized throughout that process of, really solitude, and then again, COVID happening and being, I don't want to say forced to live with my family, but cohabitating with my family again, that we only got one shot, man, to make this work.
Yeah. Put it in perspective.
There's no redos, man. When you die, it's over. And the only thing that remains is the legacy. It's the memories that you leave. It's the legacy that you build when you're alive. And, at this stage of my career, man, I'm at a much better place, spiritually, emotionally. My family's back together again. So for me at this stage of my career, it's not so much about wanting to get those big wins. Again, this book, Writing Them to Marketing, for me at the time was a big win.
Yeah.
But I never felt more lonely in my life when the book was published. October 3rd, 2019, when it came out, I was in Charlotte, North Carolina. Just got done doing a keynote. I was by myself in my hotel room. The woman that was there with me throughout my ups and downs, my wife, wasn't there.
Yeah.
The woman that I left her for that was in a relationship wasn't there. Yeah. No one was there. I was by myself. My kids weren't there to celebrate.
Wow.
So I say this transparently and on the record because so many of us are chasing that thing. And when I say that thing, it's tied to money, it's tied to fame, it's tied to success.
Yeah.
All the meanwhile, we lose sight of who really makes us successful. Yeah. And it's not the fans, it's not the person cutting the check, but it's the people that are really in our corner.
It's your circle. It's your circle. Your team is everything. So, as you are now embarking, we're coming out of COVID. We're going into, we don't even know, we're just going to call it this post-recession time period. There'll be someone much smarter than me to come up with
post-pandemic
there'll be an amazing name for it that'll go down in history. What's next then for Carlos? What's top of mind for you? What's driving you in this next chapter?
That's a good question, man. So, and this is going to sound really weird, but letting go of what got me to this point, first and foremost. Because when I think back to, and again, I'm my biggest critic. I'm not one of these guys that gets in the weed of reading what people in my industry say about me, because at the end of the day, they're just people, man.
Everybody's got an opinion.
But yeah, they're not going to be there for me on my deathbed.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? So letting go of an image that I created and manifested, and really just being present in my family's life, first and foremost, talking to people about the value of family, talking to people about values in general. You know, my wife and I, we've gone through our trials and tribulations. I always tell her, like, look, you're the hero, I'm the villain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want people out there to know our story. It's ugly, but it's reality.
Yeah.
You know, how many people out there go through divorces, separations, infidelity, you know, they split up, and we perceive this to be the worst thing that could possibly happen. But, you know, my wife is really someone I look at as a hero that needs to tell her story of how she was able to get through emotionally raising 3 kids as a single mom while she saw her husband off with another woman and having a kid with another woman and portraying to live his best life. And I know, you know, I know I'm getting real deep now.
No, man, this is
but
your story.
This is what I want people to know. And I think in this next chapter, it's going to be less about Carlos the marketer, less about Carlos the social media guy or persona, and more about Carlos the dad, Carlos the husband, Carlos the guy that wants to help people get on the right track.
Man, I love that. I love not only that you said it, but that I felt it. To be real with you, man, you're in such a good place, and I think family has an amazing way of doing that for us.
It does.
Right? And whether it's, you know, family blood or friends that have become family, I say all the time, man, like, I only deal with family now. Because even the friends that I have, well, that's family. Your family, right? My boy Scott is here, Luigi. This is family. This is how I operate. You know, every guest that I've, you know, that's come on this, we're shooting at my house. You know what I mean? I got a newborn downstairs.
Oh yeah.
This is what it's all about. So hearing you say that, and feeling that from you sitting across from you, man, I'm just happy for you.
I appreciate it, dude.
I love that. I love the drive, and it's not surprising to see the wins that are now manifesting because of that. Like, you're in a space where you can catch so much more. And so I think you're going to catch more wins than you can even imagine because of that, which is exciting to see. So, look, Carlos the family man, what's the business focus?
I knew you were going to ask me that.
Oh, I got to come with that. I love the family piece, but I know.
So here's the thing,
I know
man.
you too. So
Yeah, you do. So
I
here's
know
the
you
thing.
still focus on something.
So here's the thing. You know, I just got done writing the follow-up to the End of Marketing. So it's going to be the End of Marketing Part 2, so the sequel. So I'll be getting back on the road here in August.
Yep.
I'll be back on the road. I'll be speaking. You know, will I be speaking full-time? Probably not. I'll be much more selective of where I go. But building brands, I just think is so fun, man. Yeah. So fun. So, you know, my brother-in-law, Reggie, and I, we built something really good with Outlaw. We're going to continue to build upon Outlaw. Yeah. We're going to go into the world of fashion and apparel. So, you know, again, we built a brand that has a following. We would really fuck up royally if we just let that go to the wayside.
100%.
You know, in full 100%. Transparency, like, masks aren't popping anymore, you know. I realize that. He realizes that. But getting into the space of fashion, you know, that's something that's top of mind. My son, actually, who's sitting over there, he got me into trading cards at the beginning of this year.
Okay.
And I spent, let's just say, a lot of money on trading cards to the point, he's nodding his head over that, a lot of money on trading cards to the point where the closet in my home office, I'm OCD when it comes to being neat.
Yeah.
I like to keep things neat. I have a cleaning crew that comes to my house.
I mean, you get your hair cut like every 3 days.
I get my hair cut every week religiously. I like my cigars cut, V-cut. Like, I'm very, like, meticulous when it comes, and OCD when it comes to certain things.
Yeah.
So I got to a point where the closet in my home office was full to the gills with cards. So I said, all right, man, look, I live in Jacksonville, Florida now. Jacksonville ain't an epicenter for culture. The shoes that we like, the clothes that we like, it ain't that.
Don't tell Lil Duval that.
Lil Duval? So, Jacksonville, I think, you know, shout out to Jacksonville 904. I think Jacksonville is a hidden gem.
Yeah.
A lot of people are moving to Florida right now because of COVID. A lot of people from New York, California, they're all moving to Florida. They all want to be in Florida. But they all want to go to Miami.
Yeah.
Miami, I can tell you as a native South Floridian, is overly saturated. Real estate is hella high. Scott over there, he can agree, right?
Absolutely.
Overly saturated, is tapped out. And the thing is that South Florida is not a place that's conducive if you want to be a married man with kids and just be on a straight arrow. If you don't want to be distracted, that's not the place to be. Like, it's true. Like, you want to keep it 100.
There's a whole lot in that one. We're
So
gonna let that go.
so this
Shout out to everybody in Miami.
No, hold on, because again, you want to know about like what's next for me.
I see you during Art Basel.
You want to know what's next for me? It's about keeping it 100.
Yeah, you got to.
So if you want to be a married man with kids, and you don't want to be tempted to cheat on your spouse, Miami ain't the place to be. Just gonna throw it out there.
You said
And if I lost my bro card in the process, take it away from me, man. It is what it is.
We might edit it out.
There's no need to edit it out. It's the truth. So
It's all good. I love it.
Miami's tapped out. It's oversaturated. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah,
Tampa's cool. Tampa's on the up and up.
definitely.
Okay. Orlando, it's a vacation hub. Okay, it's not necessarily the place to be to live and do business. It's a vacation hub. It's a tourist hub.
Yeah.
Very crazy. But Jacksonville's a hidden gem for real estate. I've been meeting a lot lately with the city of Jacksonville. We've been talking about like how to make Jacksonville a marketable city for people to move to. And I tell them, look, all you got to say is two things: affordable real estate, no state tax. That's all you got to say. You sell that as a value prop and you put up billboards here in Hollywood, and people are going to be looking to move to Jacksonville because it's the last place that you can go in Florida that's still a big-ish city. It's like a top 25 DMA. Okay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a top 25 DMA.
Wow. Okay.
It has a professional sports franchise in the Jaguars. The Jaguars are on the up and up. Obviously you got first overall pick in Trevor Lawrence.
Absolutely.
And real estate is relatively affordable. You can buy a house, bro, for $300,000 and live like a king.
And it's a house.
That's a house
Yeah.
with property.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Golf course.
Land.
Yeah, you got land.
Yeah.
So my whole point that I'm trying to make is that Jacksonville is a good place to be. It's where I'm at. It's where I'm replanting my roots. I lived in Jacksonville for about 10 years before my career took me out to San Francisco and then LA, and I moved around, and then I made a roundabout face and came back. So I'm there now, and my brother-in-law Reggie and I, leveraging what we've done with Outlaw masks, are looking to bring the culture to Jacksonville.
Got it.
So we're going to be opening up a retail boutique here soon. We're going to be selling sports cards, shoes, apparel, and again, man, creating a vibe that when you think of going to Jacksonville, you think of coming to our shop. You think of Carlos and Reggie.
It's like the modern day Jacksonville haberdashery.
What?
Yeah.
What's a haberdashery?
It's like the old school kind of spot where, you can have your tailor, your cigars, your drinks. It's whatever the modern man needed. You had a spot for that.
Oh, yeah.
And so yours is trading cards and clothes and fashion and
It's
culture
it's
and
the
doing
hype.
it. But what I love about that, though, is I always love hearing people talk about different cities and regions. And, you found a place that, one, is comfortable for you to live and meets your lifestyle and the stage that you're at. But you're seizing the opportunities that are there as well, right? And you're able to make a name for yourself. And you're networking and politicking with the government there locally. And you're helping to establish and right now I feel like I'm being sold to move to Jacksonville in a way, and I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think what also is so cool, though, is that, look, because you know digital so well, there really are no borders. So because that's where you live, that doesn't mean that's the only place where people are consuming your product, right? You've had folks that play for the Lakers buying masks from this group that's in Jacksonville, Florida, right? So I think that's amazing, man. I'm excited to watch it. So, I have a theme, as we wrap up. It's always, you get last word. So as we close things out, it's your time, sir. So,
Man, you're putting me on the spot.
Nah, it's whatever your final words, what you want to give.
You had Brand Marshall on the show, and he talked about his pillars.
Yeah.
I was like, man, he took the words out of my mouth because I've got my own 5 pillars.
Okay.
Passion, persistence, perseverance. Starts with those 3. Personality, persuasion. They're all critical.
Yeah.
People do business in this, let's just say, modern era with who they feel comfortable doing business with.
Yeah.
Who makes them feel good, who they relate to, who's likable. So many times when I mentor others, they feel that their race or their gender or what makes them different from others is what holds them back in life. And I oftentimes tell them that your differences, or what you perceive to be your differences, is really your superpower. You know, I am a Hispanic male who dropped out of high school, but yeah, I've worked for a tech company in LinkedIn. And I knew when I was in San Francisco, I was different than every other person that was in the room with me, but I knew how to make friends. I knew how to make allies. I knew how to network with the best of them.
Yeah.
And that would really be my biggest, final takeaway for anyone watching this, is whatever you perceive that makes you different, realize that that is a superpower. And as long as you play to that superpower as a strength, and you realize that there's no such thing as losses in life, there's no such thing as failures, it's all wins. Every time I've lost a job, I took it as a win. I didn't take it as an L. I looked at it as an opportunity to learn. And as long as you're always learning in life, then you're always winning. I didn't go the traditional route of going to school. So everything that I know, everything I can speak fluently to, whether it's here, whether it's through my book, whether it's on stage, it's been, self-taught. It's been in the trenches. Yeah. And that is learning. So as long as you're always learning, you're always moving forward, you're never going to lose.
Man, I love that. I think that's a great way to sum you up, man, is that you work equally as hard on the technical skills of business, of digital, social, whatever it is, as you do on the social skills and building relationships, nurturing people, whether it's friends or family or a significant other. Man, my hat's off to you. Thank you again for coming. We're probably going to get another cigar.
One thing,
and we're probably going to get some more to drink.
I'm running short here, so I'm going to need one. But like one other thing I want to add is, like, never lose sight of the value of family. Never. Family's family.
That's it.
Family is going to be there for you in the highs and lows, man. The social media followers, they ain't going to be there. Social media followers is great. It's a nice little ego boost, but that's all it is. Don't lose sight of the fact that there are people in your corner that knew you before you were who you are today.
Help make you who you are.
Absolutely. Amen to that.
That's a great way to do it. Shout out to my family. Man, but thank you, bro. I'm glad you were able to bring your son out. This was perfect. This was beautiful. So we probably gonna take some questions and see what's going on. Look.
Oh, we got an audience. We got some questions.
You know what I mean? Nah. Carlos and I linked. It was through Brand Innovators. It was actually a platform started by this guy Mark and Brandon, which was really around connecting the startup culture with corporate culture. And I think what was interesting is, I think Carlos and I, actually, when we met, you were in a transition then.
I was in a transition. Yeah. So I just gotten laid off from Save-A-Lot, where I was head of digital marketing. And I got invited to, actually, I'm sorry, I didn't get invited to this dinner. I crashed the dinner.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that.
No, I did know that.
So my boy, how'd you know that?
Because Brandon told me.
Oh, Brandon told me.
Brandon tell everything, man.
That's embarrassing, bro. I hate to.
But
I hate to be known as that guy.
It wasn't bad.
So one of my
he just said you pulled up, and I was like,
one of my boys, Greg Weiss, from MasterCard.
Yeah.
He invited me to come because we were like having some drinks in the city in New York, and he's like, "Hey man, I gotta go to this dinner. Just come." And we got there, and Brandon kind of like was sniffing out what was going on. Like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
And I guess Brandon told Greg, like, yeah, like, your friend can't join us. And Greg was kind of like, ooh, well, if he can't join us, like, I'm out. Yeah. And then Brandon was just kind of like,
friends who are family.
And again, that's friends who are family, man. That's respect. So
yeah.
So Brandon was like, all right, like, fuck it, like, he can stay. And then I sat next to Keenan, and we just started vibing. And the thing is, like, I had worked in marketing in the grocery space. Him coming from P&G, there's a relatability factor there. And it goes to what I just said. Like, it doesn't matter the color of your skin, man, or background. If you can relate and connect with someone on any level, at that point in time, I had grocery experience. He had CPG experience. Yeah. We're able to connect.
I think that's something I pride myself on, man, is being able to relate and connect with folks at any level in any place. And I think I seek out experiences more than anything, because whether it's you were a college athlete, whether you're from LA, whether you love marketing, whether it's CPG, whether it's retail, crypto, CBD, cigars, scotch, bourbon, wines,
Right.
whatever it is. I'm going after those experiences, and I'm so eager to learn, man. So I'm always grateful to meet folks, hear the stories, and share things. There's things you can teach me about cigars and, things that are just in your background, right? And social media. We've talked about building information products in the past, writing a book. Man, these are all just experiences, and it's just cumulative. It just keeps stacking. So,
I think the thing is like real
there's a reason why we
recognizes
met.
real.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got a question. Should Ja Rule come to this podcast?
absolutely.
What would Ja talk about? You know him the best.
What would he talk about, man? I think he talk about the ups and downs, man, of entrepreneurship.
It's not linear.
Bro, you just took the words right out of
It
my
ain't
mouth,
linear.
man. It ain't linear. There's no formula. You can watch all the Gary V, Grant Cardone videos in the world, bro. At the end of the day, you gotta do the work. That's really what it comes down to. You have to take a chance.
Yeah.
You gotta take a risk. You gotta put some skin in the game.
Yeah.
Should everyone have a social media?
No, everyone doesn't need to have a social media.
Wow. That's not the answer I thought he was going to get.
No, I know a lot of people who are much more successful than me, have done a lot cooler things I've done, and have made a lot more money, and they have zero social media presence. Social media is maintenance, and that's what people don't realize. It's a lot of maintenance. What we're doing here is maintenance, because at some point we will have to share this content out for the world to know that it exists.
But I think, again, right, it's how the tool is used, right? Social media can be used as entertainment, as connectivity. It can be used as a business driver. But sometimes it's also just your diary, right, of your journey. And so when I think of social media, I think everybody should have a social media.
But I'm gonna stop you right there. If
Go
I
ahead.
may.
Go ahead, please.
If I may.
Yeah.
With all due respect,
Yeah.
sir. It is a diary, but it's not, because people aren't sharing 100% full transparency.
Everybody uses it differently. So
Thank you.
No.
It's a highlight reel.
Let's make sure it's my words are clear. Everyone can use it in their own way. That is not how a lot of people use it. A lot of people do use it as highlight reels. But guess what? Sometimes in your diary, you're only documenting the 10 poles. You don't write everything in your diary. My sister had one her whole upbringing. It wasn't her daily blog of everything that she was detailing. It was the highs and the lows, which is what a lot of people share. So again, I think there's a variety of ways. Now, no two people need to use social media the same way. So I think it's up for the individual and what you're looking to get out of it. But to have a platform where things can be saved and documented, I don't think is a bad thing. But I don't think every business person needs to, be out there pushing content and showing
Facts.
all vacation pics or whatever that is, right? But I've had meetings with Robert Smith, man. Robert Smith was worth $7 billion before he got on Instagram. He didn't need to be on there, but I said, hey man, what are you passionate about? He said, I really want to share my story to inspire others. And I said, man, you're the richest black person in America, and a lot of my peers don't know who you are. I would appreciate if you just shared a little bit.
Right.
And thankfully he took
Stories
that
are
and
powerful.
he shared and inspired a lot of people because of that. So that's his
Stories
reason
are
for
powerful,
using
man.
it, right? He's not using social media to sell products.
Stories are powerful, man. I recently had lunch with a friend of mine who he's an executive for an NFL team,
Yeah.
and he's black. And I started telling him, bro, like, I want to hear your story. The world wants to hear your story.
Yeah.
Because there's somehow, some way you got to this position in your career that people need to know.
Yep.
The ins and outs. Like, don't sugarcoat anything just to try to protect people. Like, your story is unique to you. My story is unique to me. Everyone has a story. But again, we get lost in the highlights. We get lost in the success stories without highlighting, the downfalls.
Well, we look for things that we want, right? That's the beauty of social media and how the algorithms are set, right? It continuously feeds you what you're looking for. So some people are only looking for the highlights because they need that type of motivation and inspiration. And that's what they gravitate towards. They want to see the confidence of someone sharing a selfie, right? Because they wish that they were that confident and could bare their souls and I woke up like this. Whatever that is, right? You get out of it what you want, right? And so it's hard for me. I don't critique it, right? I take it for what it is because it's different. You can approach it from a selfless standpoint or you can approach it from a selfish standpoint.
Yeah.
It's up to you. But
It's
whatever
true.
you want, it's actually there. If you're into frogs and lizards, it's there. If you're into bikinis and ass, it's also there.
Oh, there's a lot of that
right?
there.
So it just depends on what it is that you want, right? Because it's there. And I think that's the magic of it. So I can't see a negative in it because you could always find that. When you're looking for the negative, it doesn't matter if it's social media or in real life. You can find fake shit in real life.
It's true.
You don't have to be on Instagram. You can walk down Melrose.
That's true. The biggest value add from my perspective is the connectivity aspect. Social media basically puts you like 1 degree of separation from anybody. Celebrities, executives at companies. You know, you're old enough to remember. I don't know how old you are, Scott, but you're old enough, Keenan, to remember the Rolodexes.
Scott old.
Oh, is he like our age old?
Yeah.
So you know what Rolodex is, Scott? So like
Scott still got a black book.
LinkedIn is the new Rolodex. You know, your followers is the new Rolodex. Like, this is where I love Keenan. Like, we relate on this level because we're both guys that come from the corporate world. So like we realized that like back in the day you would go to a conference and you get like a stack of business cards. Oof. You know what I'm saying? Because that meant something.
Trying to take pictures of it.
I still got them. Like I still got stacks in like Ziploc bags. But I've taken this step further. I've put all of those business cards in a CRM.
Yeah, I load them up too.
Yeah, so there's a tool called Superphone
Yeah.
that you can send like a mass text message like that to everyone in your Rolodex.
Shout out to Ryan Leslie.
You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Ryan Leslie. So if I'm in New York, I can message everyone that's in New York.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, again, like that's the superpower behind it. I'm not a fan of what I call the fuckery. Like the let me show you what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm living my best life, but I'm really like miserable inside. And I only say that because that was once me.
Yeah.
So I can only speak to like at one point in my life, that was me. And if I was doing it, I'm more than certain there's a lot of people out there that are portraying an image of themselves through social media that's not 110% an accurate depiction of who they are.
let's dive deeper on it, right? Because I like this discussion and I like it because you've written and published books on social media. Here's where I think people can get in trouble is when you focus on reaching a mass audience, right? And the masses. You're trying to get something that appeals to everyone. And I use this as a statement because it's also what gets brand builders in trouble. Find your one customer.
Yep.
And satisfy that. Whatever that customer is. If it's family, if it's friends, if it is people who like lizards or people who like ass and bikinis, whatever that is. So I always tell folks, right, I'm not worried about having a lot of eyes. I'm worried about having the right eyes.
Yep.
And I'm very intentional in the stuff that I do, as you are. And I think that's the piece of advice that I would give folks. Don't worry about the numbers, right? We're doing, Venture Noir is a nonprofit that is specifically focused on helping black and brown entrepreneurs build healthier businesses. I'm not talking about venture capital. I'm talking about what business health is. I'm not looking to help people perfect their hustle. I'm looking at helping people close income inequality, which means that you have to fundamentally be hiring employees and paying them more year after year. So I'm not worried about having a lot of eyes. I'm worried about having those eyes,
Having the right
and
eyes.
helping them with that journey, because that's the mission that's important to me. So if it's 2 people that get to see this conversation and it touches them and they're inspired by your story, then that is a win for me. And that gives me a lot of joy. And I think that's how I choose to use social media. And I know that's how you choose to use social media.
So what you just described is the content engine. And I call it the content engine because as long as you're in people's faces, and again, it goes back to relatability and likability. the right audience, if they're consuming your content, you're never going to be out of a job. You're never going to be out of work. Like, no bullshit. I haven't done a single RFP. I went independent in 2017. I haven't done an RFP. I haven't done a fucking pitch. I don't go on sales calls. I'm not out chasing for dollars. Fortunately, thank God, business comes to me because over a period of time, I've put enough content into the world, and people see the consistency in it. I'm accessible. And again, there's that relatability and likability factor.
You're able to get inbound.
Right.
Yep.
You know, so people knock on my door and they come to me. And I think, again, it's a blessing when you get to that point and you don't need to do all the fakery and all the fake shit, you know, in order to get people to like you. You just got to be real. Yeah. But again, it goes back to one of the things I said earlier. There's a lot of bad influences. And I call them bad influences because there are people that want to emulate others. There are people that are opting into these programs and masterminds that, you know, if you pay someone 10 grand and you're going to become a fucking millionaire in 90 days. And that's not realistic.
Scams aren't new. Scams aren't new, man. You know, there's been scams since the beginning of time, right? There's always people that are looking for the shortcut. And if you put it in front of them, they're going to try and take a shot, right? It's no different than diet pills.
It's true.
It's always out there.
It's true.
So if that's what you're looking for, well, you're going to get scammed. So it is what it is. There couldn't be scammers if there weren't people that were willing to be scammed.
That's
so,
true.
I again, for me, I don't worry about all that shit.
I don't worry about it.
I don't even look at it, right?
I don't worry about it, but I only say this because I try to use my platform to use social media for the greater good.
And that's what drives you, right? And I think that's the beautiful thing about it, right? I love it, man. This is America. Do whatever you want. It's a beautiful, free country. So, hey, my hat's off to everybody, man. You use these platforms in the way that you want. And it was something I was telling Luigi earlier today. You know, when it's all said and done, you got to be able to look yourself in the mirror and be proud of the person you've become, right?
Facts.
And my journey right now as a man of faith, as a new father, as a brother, as a friend, as a son, as a CEO, as a founder, as an investor, as all these things, right? I have to look at myself and be proud of the man I've become and focus on who I'm trying to evolve into, right? My next stage, my next phase. If you're good with that, kudos. Hats off to you. Whatever that is.
If you can sleep good at night and have inner peace.
Whatever that
inner peace is the new success.
Because you know what? I tell everybody, man, you don't owe anyone anything.
True.
You owe it to yourself. So if you can look in the mirror and you're happy, I'm happy for you. Whatever that is. If it's ass pics, if it's turtles, if it's social media, if it's cigar, whatever it is, if you're proud of it, then you've won. And I think that's something I want people to take away is be proud of who you are. Be proud of who you're becoming.
Yep.
Embrace it. Love it. Move with grace. Move with humility because we know it's a journey. None of us are perfect.
Yep.
If we accomplish those things, man.
Surround yourself with the right people. Surround yourself with mentors. Remove the ego out of the equation. Your time is going to come. Well, I don't want to say there's no way in God's green earth, but it's unrealistic at 21 or 22 years old to think that you know it all. Hell, I'm 38, almost 38. I don't fucking know it all. I'm learning every day. Fortunately, I've surrounded myself with really good mentors that when I fuck up, tell me I'm fucking up. Mentors that educate me and keep my knife sharp. I would say for young people, and I'll turn it over to you, KB, for young people, like that's really what it comes down to. Outside the, the jargon of do the hard work and don't give up and all that shit, like you gotta surround yourself with the right people. Learn like a fucking sponge.
Yeah, I mean, look, if we're specifically talking about business, the number one. No, because I think as a person, there's too much variability, right? So I'll specifically talk about business. I think the skill that we all have to master, because you asked about entrepreneurs, and so as an entrepreneur, the skill that you have to master is one, the art of storytelling, but it's the intentionality behind the story, right? And so you have to learn how to get attention from the person that you're looking to serve. And so that's the objective, right?
Yeah.
That's the goal. So you have to master the art of getting the right attention. And that's why I say there's a lot of people with millions of followers that can't make money. So again, it's not about having a lot of eyes, it's the right eyes. If you can get 1,000 customers, you know as well as I do, in digital, you can run a racket. 1,000 customers can make you a millionaire,
Absolutely.
right? There's people with thousands of followers that aren't millionaires. So I think as an entrepreneur, you have to master that skill. And I think the way in which to do that we see now is through the content that you create. And so I think you have to develop and master those skills of content creation. And it's not about what necessarily you like. It's what the person that you're looking to serve likes. And so you want to study their responses. And that's, to your point, how you remove the ego out of it.
Yep.
Right? I'm not doing things per se that I just love. Right? I love watches. I don't create watch content. Right? Because that's not my customer base. I'm creating things for the audience that I'm looking to serve.
Yep.
And right now I'm looking to serve entrepreneurs at all ages, but folks that are looking to go from idea to first dollar to first million to scale. That's the audience that I'm serving, because I'm really passionate about the state of the country and where we are from an impact.
Yep.
and income inequality and racial inequities that are a result and a byproduct of systematic injustices that have happened historically over time. And so that's my mission, that's my purpose. So I'm looking to serve that community, to right those wrongs. And so I'm constantly looking at how that audience that I'm looking to serve is receiving the content, the feedback they're giving, and I have no ego in it, because it's not about me, it's about them.
It's about them.
And I think that's every entrepreneur. You have to be an entrepreneur and be focused and hyper focused on service.
I love that you said storytelling, because I believe the most important question that you will ever be asked throughout your lifetime is, tell me about yourself.
Yeah.
Such a basic, simple question. Yeah. But think about how many times you've been to a business meeting or a dinner or networking event, and someone just says like, hey, Keenan, like, tell me about yourself. What do you do?
Yeah.
If you don't know how to answer that question and captivate someone's interest within really seconds, you've lost the game.
Yeah.
You have to be able to know how to describe yourself. And I think, again, when people are young, they overinflate themselves.
I think when people are old and when people are not clear,
That's true.
They overinflate, right? And what's the point of a story, right? Point of a story is to convey a message, to get in, an action.
Right.
Right. So if someone's asking you about yourself, you don't need to go in and talk about your dog. Right? Like, it's not necessarily
Unless
the
you have
point,
a dog sitting business.
right? It's move with intentionality. Right? So
It's true.
That's a Helen Keller quote, right? It's a terrible thing to see and have no vision.
Damn.
So you have to have a vision for yourself and for what it is that you're trying to accomplish, and then be able to tell a cohesive story and a concise story that navigates people towards that, to get them to move in an action that benefits the interest that you have. That's storytelling, right? I think what happens is a lot of people don't actually know where they're going, and so their stories are just all over the place.
Right.
I don't care about your dog, right? If I'm asking you what's going on, well, that's because I'm trying to figure out how then I can fit within that life. If you're telling me about your dog, I don't have anything for your dog. So I'm going to say, great, that's awesome. I love that you have a pit bull. Wish you the best. I move on. Right?
Do you know what the number one question I'm asked when I get off stage? You want to know what it is?
Yeah.
Guess.
How do you get your where do you get your confidence?
No.
Because that's the one I get.
Nope. I'm constantly asked, as soon as I get off stage and there's a line of people that want to talk, it is, how do I start a personal brand?
Yeah.
And I ask them, why do you want to have a personal brand?
Ooh, that's my favorite question. We just heard me say that a few times.
Why do you want to have a personal brand? I literally sit there or stand there and I look at them and ask them, why do you want to have a personal brand? And oftentimes for all the wrong reasons. They say, I want to do what you do. Well, why do you want to do what I do? Because if you knew how I do what I do, you probably wouldn't want to do it.
You know what the follow-up question that I asked too is, what is your personal brand? Because before you can start it, can you articulate what it is?
Yeah.
That usually kills
Kills it.
the conversation.
Ends the conversation.
Because when you can't define it, it's really hard to
Well,
build it.
like, and again, because I came from the corporate side, like,
Yeah.
I know exactly where they're coming from, but they don't know how to articulate. I work for an asshole boss, or I work for a company that's not elevating me, and I don't feel like my potential is being tapped into fully, so I want to go independent. That's really what they're trying to get at, but they don't know how to articulate and ask that. So instead, they feel that they have to have a personal brand in order to be a solopreneur, entrepreneur, and become a speaker. Like, they think they have to do all these things to go independent. So that's really what I try to get at from people is like, what are you really trying to do? Where do you work? What do you do? Are you happy there? Are you trying to move up? Like, let's really get down to the root of the problem here, because you probably don't need to do all the work that goes into building a personal brand. The reality is that everyone has a personal brand already, right?
Maybe.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so. I think a brand, right, to say a brand, there has to be an aspect of value exchange. And I don't think people know what value they have. And so, can I say that everyone has value? Yes. Can everyone define that and articulate it? I would say no. So I think there's a lot of discovery work that is required from folks before they get into these things, right? When people are asking, how do I start a personal brand? They're already jumping to a conclusion without doing the work. And
I typically ask people, sorry to interrupt, like, what is it that you're good at doing? What do you want to be known for? Like, these are probing questions I ask of people first and foremost, because I believe that people's personal brands are very closely aligned to something that's going to set them apart from the pack.
yeah, I would go at it differently, and I would say, what do you want to do? Because we're still on the journey to learn, right? That's how people are changing careers later in life. And typically when you are dissatisfied in a role, it's because you're doing things that you don't want to do. So there's things that we're good at that we don't love. I was a really good football player, but to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't love it. Because when it came down to it, it got really hard, and I'm having surgeries and some of these things. I was like, you know what? I don't know that this is for me. That was cool when it was easy. You know what I mean? But when it started to get hard, I didn't have enough passion to push me past that.
Yeah.
And so again, man,
My brother-in-law has said something along the same lines before.
it happens with every athlete. And I think it happens a lot with people that are in corporate roles, because you can be a really successful engineer and not love engineering.
Right.
And so your thought process might be, I want to have a personal brand to be an engineering consultant. But when it starts getting tough and getting those clients and you don't have those corporations behind you, can you push through that?
Yep.
And the answer is probably not. So your passion and your purpose is going to push you through a lot of those difficult times, because you're happy in the process despite the results or the success. And so I think when you're building a personal brand, or you're getting ready to venture off and be an entrepreneur, you have to have a level of passion and something that's going to fuel you through the difficult times. And for me, this is just, full transparency. I had to find ways to fall in love with the process and not the end result.
Yep.
I got myself in trouble when I was so hyper-focused on the result and what people said I was good at, because that also gets you into that imposter syndrome, right? Because it's someone is telling you about you, and it might not be what you feel you are, right? It's the reason why our agency was called Black Box. I said I didn't want people to put me in a box. I define it. My walls are black. They're infinite. So I can morph and grow, and what I was yesterday may not be what I am today.
Right.
And that's because I'm on a journey around discovering myself and my passions. And so, again, man, I tell every kid, every adult, everyone in my family, doesn't matter who I'm talking to, and it's why I love self-mastery, because you have to find you. You have to do that discovery work solo, and I think that's what the pandemic did for a lot of us, right? A lot of distractions were removed.
Yep.
Right? You
Facts.
couldn't go to the club and the bars and drink your way through, right? You spent a lot of time in isolation
Facts.
at home or with your immediate nucleus of your core family. You had to see, do you like those people?
Yep.
Do you like yourself? Because a lot of folks realized that they didn't like themselves and who they had become. And now they had a chance to face that,
Yep.
to then start to map out who they want to be and go after that.
Yep.
And that's part of the personal brand, is that journey. And so when you're willing to face that and do that discovery work, then I would say, yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, go online. But then be mindful of the fact that don't allow the public then to define who you are, because
Facts.
that gets you into, right? There's a reason why you see a lot of people online where they start showing nothing but ass pics. Because you know why? You get a lot, because it happens a lot online, and I think a lot of people bring that up because that's an easy, cheap way to get likes.
Right.
Right? Clickbait.
Well,
right? But you don't
unfortunately
want to
for
be
me,
defined as that.
I've never shown an ass pic.
You could. You'd probably get a lot of likes for it. Nah, but again, right? It comes down to that.
Lil Los can tell you, bro, it happens fast.
It happens fast when it
happens
takes off.
fast, bro. Like, you're talking about getting like 20 million views a month, bro, all organic. No paid. If people are taking the time and like you got multiple videos that are going viral, bro,
Yeah, I mean,
you see the cha-chings real fast, man.
yeah. I've seen Cookies and Kicks. They'll do a drop, right? Somebody local. I forget, I had sent it to Luigi. They had somebody from, what do you call it, like from the Valley? It was a brand from these guys from the Valley. They came in. There was a line 3 blocks.
Was that recently?
Yeah.
Oh, sup food or some shit.
Yeah.
I follow all those guys because I went in my last trip here. I went in, again, going back to the hustle. Just went in, was scoping out the store, but I had a backpack full of masks. I gave masks to everyone.
Yeah.
And then I recorded content
Yeah.
that we put on our TikTok and
Yeah.
our Instagram. So I connected with all those guys and girls there.
Yeah.
And I've been following them since. And, like, man, they're an institution, bro. When they do drops on Saturdays, the
Bro.
lines that they have,
It's unbelievable.
it's crazy.
TikTok following is out of this world. So they went from doing, I think at the start of the pandemic, like 10 grand a month
Mm-hmm.
to $1 million a month to $2 million a month.
Just shoes?
Yeah.
I read somewhere the pre-pandemic Cool Kicks was doing like $8 million a year,
Yeah.
and they're just consignment and reselling.
Yeah. It's a beautiful process. I mean, their whole margin structure, they just sold. So they just got bought by a private equity group.
Did they?
I just had to give them lawyers.
Cookies
Yeah.
or Cool Kicks?
Cookies and Kicks.
Wow.
And like I will tell you this, I am super fascinated about retail. I'm ready to go back in retail.
So,
Because a lot of folks don't know, I had a clothing store.
oh, word?
So I had a haberdashery.
No shit.
Yeah. When I was at P&G. Had an OTR. And, I mean, we did great. That's why I know all the different shows, Agenda, and all these different things where we were buying clothes, getting our sizing, right?
Damn.
I know all about that. I did it for a year and a half and just got bored with it. It wasn't, I wasn't doing enough in the marketplace.
Right.
Where it was going to sustain anything. So it was kind of a distraction. But I definitely want to go back retail. And this was before I knew e-commerce. So there was no e-commerce complement to it to extend the reach.
That's the thing.
So it was
man.
like I was getting dope shit, but in a region where
When-
folks weren't really fucking with that.
when you know what we know, it's really like a cheat code, man.
Yeah.
It's a superpower. So, my
I
store,
like this.
huh?
I like this one.
No, I was about to say, man, this smooth.
I mean, it's
cool.
heavy, but
It
it's
is heavy, but it's good. It's a big smoke. You said nightcap, dog. I'm thinking you're gonna bring like a little shorty.
I don't have none of them. You know what I mean?
When you said nightcap, dog, I'm thinking it's a
You know what I'm
shorty.
saying? 6'3", man.
That's
You know what I'm
it,
saying?
fine right there. Huh? You said you're 6'3".
Yeah, I don't. You know what I mean?
Oh, this is dope. This is
I don't
hard.
deal with shit that small.
Yeah, this is hard. Dungeon forward. Yeah, please put me in touch.
I just sent both y'all the message, man. So,
So, Lil Los goes to high school, right? He plays
Yeah.
football, by the way.
Yep.
So, Lil Los goes to a high school that's one of the best public schools in the United States. St. Johns County, if you look him up. Is the second best public school system in the entire U.S.
St. John's in
St. Johns County.
Houston,
No, Florida.
Florida. Okay.
Jacksonville, outside
Okay.
Jacksonville.
Okay.
So it's, affluent,
Mhm.
predominantly white. Not gonna
Yeah.
sugarcoat it. It is what it is. But these are kids that they see cookies and kicks and cool kicks on social media, but unless their parents bring them to LA, they're never stepping foot here.
Absolutely.
So if you bring the experience to them,
Absolutely.
now you got consumers. They're gonna be promoting the shit out of your brand.
I think that's what's so. It's funny how all this shit changes, right? When was Instagram? When did it come out? 2009?
Yeah, 2008 or 9. No, not 8.
I joined like 12.
Yeah, I mean, I joined in like 12, 13, but I think maybe it started in 2009 or something.
Right.
So it's crazy, right? I had my store in 2008. And it's crazy because I was from LA. I was going to New York a lot. So my fashion was based off of that in those regions. There was no way for folks in Cincinnati.
That's where you were? When
Yeah.
you say OTR, where's OTR?
Yeah, over the Rhine. So it was
Oh,
over the
okay.
Rhine area, Cincinnati. So there was nowhere for
PNG,
those
that makes
folks
sense.
to get to even understand what I was doing. They were just like, all right, this looks like some fly shit, but we don't really know what that is. Like there was no Instagram trend. Now it's like, it doesn't matter where
So-
you go. Everybody dresses basically the same because they're influenced by the same
This
group.
is-
Little slight nuances.
This is
but-
gonna blow your mind, bro. There ain't a single place in Jacksonville that sells Yeezys.
Oh, I believe that.
I'm probably the only person in Jacksonville that wears Yeezys.
You probably
Shit
couldn't
you
even
not.
get the distribution. Like, there's no store that could get Yeezys direct because it's not going to be big enough. You'd have to do it.
Yeah, and we got Finish Line in those stores there in Foot Locker, but they're not carrying Yeezys.
Because they don't get it.
So
they don't get the
what I've
allocation.
learned by hitting up Nike and Adidas and Panini for cards
Yeah.
is that what they're looking for in partners now is people who understand marketing. People are building a brand that have basically a business plan that articulates like this is how we're going to grow the business. But we've already grown a business, and it's not with shoes. So you give us a hot dope product that people want.
People are
Sky's the
buying
limit.
communities, man. So if you got a community that's built organically and not from scarcity, you got to think like, when we work at P&G or you work at, any of these places, they won because they were the only available quality
Right.
good. So scarcity drove their business.
Right.
The fundamentals of brand building didn't exactly have to be there early on. It was like, if you wanted clean clothes, Tide was it. And then you started getting other things. Now we're at a time frame where you can get good quality and efficacy fairly easy.
Right.
So now what then separates you? You have to be good at building communities.
Yes.
So any big brand, big retailer, big whatever is only looking to acquire organic communities.
Yes.
And that's cheat code for anybody that's looking to build a business and sell a business. People are going to look at what's your cohort analysis is what they say. So what's your trial, right? Your first purchase. What percentage of your first purchase was paid and what was organic? Then what's your repeat analysis on that same cohort? What's the value of your organic?
Right.
LTV, right?
Yep.
Lifetime value. So when you look at a Starbucks, they give you these crazy LTVs. Well, if you're a startup online, what's your repeat? So if you get a new customer, how long do they stay with you? If that customer stays with you for a year, 2 years, makes 3, 4, 5, 6 purchases, you got an extremely valuable business. Your multiple is pretty outrageous.
Yep.
A lot of folks, they focus, and that's why I say it's about the right eyes, because you can do a lot of shortcut tricks to get one-time purchases. I just did an interview today. Actually, they were talking about what was the impact of, the George Floyd time period and all the support within the black community. I said, well, it's a two-sided thing, right? It's a double-edged sword. Like, in one, right, it gave you a lot of disproportionate trial. People were like just blindly supporting. You put black-owned. People were buying anything that was black-owned. The repeat analysis is where it's going to get tricky. Because did people understand what they bought? Were they actually interested in it? do they want? So even when you use influencers, that's what's tricky, right? An influencer can help you get a blast of awareness in initial trial.
Right.
Doesn't mean that they're going to buy again. And so, for me, it's always about, that's why people look at things like, what's your month-over-month growth? Because in order to have month-over-month growth and not continuously increase your marketing budget,
Right.
that means you have to have repeat.
Right.
And those are just the metrics that I think are missed and get a lot of entrepreneurs in trouble.
Yep.
And they get fixated on having to raise capital because they're raising capital in order to deliver growth.
Correct.
But the business isn't necessarily healthy.
Correct. They're raising capital just to keep injecting oxygen into the business.
Buying users.
I get it.
So
I don't
it's a
like
tricky
raising
thing.
money. I don't like asking people for money because at the end of the day, man, like there's a beauty in not having debt. There's a really competitive advantage I find to not having debt, not owing money.
Yeah, I mean, debt doesn't bother me. I think it's not every business requires it though. Right? So like if you're raising capital to specifically support growth and there's no glide path to profitability, you're in trouble. So I like raising capital to buy infrastructure to guarantee success in
Like
the long term.
employees and technology.
Infrastructure, whatever is going to, not necessarily employees, because the talent is a component of it, and that's a portion of the usage of funds. But do you need to buy supply?
Right.
Right? Do you need to do a hedging strategy to buy up crop? Is it to secure real estate? Because what ends up happening is those things become IP that drives up your value.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you're going to raise money, you know that you have to pay that money back. So how you spend the money better drive the valuation of your business.
Right.
If not, guess what? It's a whole lot of people that raise money and their business sells. If they get lucky enough and it sells, they didn't make any money. They just paid their investors back. Tricky thing.
It is.
So I look at raising capital as I'm buying speed.
It's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. And I learned that from a lot of my mentors. They were like, don't ever think about you're giving up equity. Because if you think of it as giving up equity, that means you haven't thought through why you're raising.
Well, no, because you can give up equity, but fuck, man, if you exit for $100 million, you know what I'm saying? And you're walking away with fucking $80 million.
Yeah, but
then
I mean,
that's still a good payday for giving up 20% of your company, assuming that,
that
you own
depends.
8%.
Yeah, but again, it's right. You're buying speed. So if I give you $1 million, I'm expecting you to give me $5 million back.
Right.
So how you use that $1 million has to get it to a point where now my million's worth $5 million. So are you using those funds to 5x your business? That's a whole different conversation. It gets people in a lot of trouble. And a lot of people don't understand the math and the mechanics of that.
Right.
And that's why a lot of folks don't end up successfully raising capital.
Right.
Because they haven't thought through and they don't know how to articulate that. So capital raising is an art, but it's one way of getting growth. There's other ways. There is debt. I think most businesses require debt to grow, where they're just looking at stimulating growth, right? And they're going to pay that back. Cool. They're not going to show a return on that. They're going to stay afloat, right? Because a good mom and pop business doesn't have to grow year over year. Just has to stay in business.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
This is true.
You know what I mean? But venture capital, that's a different beast, man. That's a different beast.
That's a world I've never tapped into, man.
Yeah, and most businesses don't require it, right? It's the reality. Most businesses should not take on venture capital. You're actually just you're gonna put more pressure on yourself. And I'm like, fuck that.
That's what I told Reggie, man. You know, at the beginning of this year, once we started like really thinking like, shit, man, like where do we take this? Do we start raising capital? I'm sure we can very easily, but at the same time, now we're gonna fucking have a debt. We're gonna have to make sure these people are repaid. You know, we don't want to bite more than we can fucking chew.
Again, right? That's why I use the term, right? You're buying speed. If I gave you $1 million and you could grow 5 times where you're at, be a good investment.
Right. Well, I also know that $1 million, a good portion would go to Facebook ads, because I know already what we're spending on Facebook ads or Instagram and digital ads in general. I already know what we're generating from that month over month. So if, to your point, if we were to 5x that spend or 10x that spend, now we're going to be in more people's faces, and we're able to get more eyeballs, and obviously that's going to drive more sales.
And especially if you're organic, or excuse me, if your repeat is there.
What our strategy has been with ads,
even
man,
better.
so you can probably appreciate this. We take our viral TikTok videos, so the videos that perform extremely well organically, and we just repurpose
Book them
those as
as
ads.
ads.
That's
Hell
it.
yeah. That's one
And they're
thing.
optimized to mobile, because people are already seeing this shit in
Facts.
TikTok format on their phone.
Yep.
So now they're seeing an Instagram post or a Facebook post on their mobile device of a video that already triggered something in someone's brain for them to like seeing it.
I love that. I love that. Honestly, on my brands, I have not been as aggressive on TikTok across the board, but I'm a little late to the game. But hey, you know what? As you get information, as you learn,
Sunday to
as you,
Sunday could
as you know better, you got to
crush
do
it
better.
on TikTok.
We're starting. We're
Crush
starting.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's a new world, man. It's a new world, but
And
you just gotta
here's the
try.
thing. Here's the, if I can provide you with just, I don't even want to call it advice, because we're friends and,
I'll
and,
call
and
it that.
peers and
Shit, it's all
colleagues,
good.
but it's more of a, what I've learned in TikTok is you can, not that I've learned this, I've done it. We've created a TikTok presence without even really talking about our product at all.
Shit, that's the best brand building.
So with that being said,
Ain't it funny?
Sunday, yeah, it
Best
is.
brand building
So
is when you don't talk about your brand.
Sunday to Sunday could literally be a TikTok channel of women living their best life, doing the challenges, dancing, beautiful fucking hair, you name it. It doesn't have to be, hey, I use this product and I put it in my hair and this is what the bottle looks like. Nah, you remove that from the equation. Sunday to Sunday is just a brand on TikTok. It's just a fucking account named Sunday to Sunday on TikTok
Bro,
with beautiful women living their best life.
You can look at every deck that I have. I always use this line. Fuck the brand.
By the way,
It's about community.
Hold on. By the way, right now, my daughter, who's 12, who came with me on this trip, she's at the hotel. She was telling me there's a challenge right now with Destiny's Child bills. That's like the new challenge on TikTok that
Yeah.
all the women are doing, because she's
Yeah.
singing the song. I'm like, how the hell do you know this song?
This is before your time. Like,
Yeah, like, how the hell do you
You
know
were
that
not
song?
born.
And she's singing it repeatedly in the car. So she's like, oh, it's a TikTok challenge. Like, again, if you are in tune with the challenges that are taking place and where the current, I always say this, if you're in tune with where the current is going and you're tapped in, then it's a no-brainer.
But here's the challenge when you're VC backed. Every dollar counts. And you're looking at those dollars and you're making a bet on the return profile. And so what happens is you take most venture-backed companies, they will buy conversion ads,
Okay.
right? Pure, straight up. Facebook's going to educate you and push you towards that because you're going to say, hey, I put this ad out. My acquisition cost was $20. My product cost was $40. We made money. Great. It paid off. Boom. What you're actually talking about is building a community
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that eventually it will pay off. So it's long-term brand building, right?
Yeah.
And in a way, right, you have obviously confidence that it pays off, but the way you have to approach it is that it's long-term community and brand building. When you are using investor dollars and VC dollars, and that investment is to go fast, the idea and the concept of long-term brand building is intimidating.
Right.
So that's where a lot of these founders
Yeah.
run into trouble. But I agree with you. You should take a bet. And you do it as a calculated risk, and maybe you do it internally and not hire an agency.
You build a community. You drive people to your website. You have tracking pixels on your website. You then target the people that visit your website through Facebook ads.
Mhm.
And then you do lookalike audiences of the people already visiting your website
100%.
on Facebook and Instagram. So they're kind of within the same realm of the demographic that's going to your website.
Yep.
And that's it. Like, that's, again, going back to our playbook. That's been our Facebook ads playbook. We take the videos that work well.
That's funnel management.
We take the videos that perform well. We dump them on Facebook We're targeting not just visitors of our website, so they keep seeing us and we stay top of mind, but we're also targeting lookalikes of that audience. We also have a very strong SMS strategy. So if you visit our website and you abandon your cart, we're going to start annoying the shit out of you with text messages. Until you convert.
Yeah.
And if you don't convert, then we're going to hit you up on Facebook 5 or 6 times.
And I would say, though, for you, right, proving out those strategies, you would almost be foolish not to raise venture capital. And the reason I say that is because you're not raising the dollars because you need them, per se. You're raising the dollars to go fast and also to get strategics that can help you exit.
Right.
Because the big money is in the liquidity.
Oh, absolutely.
And so cash flow is great. It's awesome. It's a good way to live. But if you can get to an exit and sell for a multiple, damn good day. Damn good day. So if you got a product line that's structured for that and you know how to use the dollars to accelerate that growth, I would say folks like you, there's a lot of VCs that are looking for you.
Yeah, for us, I think our biggest hesitation, if you will, has just been that our product, our company, our brand has been solely focused on masks.
Oh, 100%.
So it's been
that
more
wasn't
or less,
the right one.
Yeah, it's been more or less like we're going to keep building this brand out, but we're going to have to pivot away from masks at some point, and we're going to have to re-enter the game with a different product, still under this brand, but we can't just now hedge our bets on just masks. Like, we have to innovate. We have to create something else. We have to create another product line or several products, or in this case, a retail shop that has multiple products.
Again, fuck the brand. If you got a community that's engaged, that responds to you guys and what you stand for, you can create lots of brands.
Yeah.
Lots of products. Because you got a
I
community.
created...
You got 300,000+ folks on TikTok.
I
That's
created
community.
a coffee brand that I never got off the ground. I still have it, and I'm going to be pushing this probably once our shop opens. So you can come to the shop. We have coffee brewing, but it's a hip hop coffee brand. Again, like, I love hip hop culture.
Yeah.
So I believe that you can take any fucking product, any restaurant, any concept that exists, and you add hip hop music, and you create a vibe around your product, you're gonna fucking make bread and build a brand.
That's a proven fact.
Because again, on Instagram Reels and TikTok, they have all the fucking popular songs.
Yep.
That people like, that like hip hop music, all the trendy Drake songs, all that shit.
The music industry is like piggybacking off of that shit. I was listening to A&Rs, and one of the dudes was like, "Man, I don't do research no more. I play the shit for my daughter. If she like it, I try to get the." He said we break it on TikTok. They try to get a challenge going. They try to get a dance. And he said he like get his daughter to see if it's hot or not.
I'm
That's what he do.
in the process right now of building a community on TikTok.
There's issues with that I have, but it is the strategy.
Man, he said that's his blueprint.
Bro, that's why the songs don't have lots of words.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
That's why people aren't doing.
Quality of the
That's why
song.
they're not doing albums. They're doing EPs, right? Or just dropping
Yeah.
singles.
Think of
Yep.
how many songs you've only heard because of a TikTok challenge. That the last little was a little shadow shit we would send each other back.
Hey, listen.
Dog, let me tell you
listen,
something.
It's a proven
TikTok now
strategy.
is driving the music
Bro, you
industry.
don't even hear the whole song.
I hear these songs first on TikTok
Yeah,
before I fucking hear them on the radio.
that's what dude was saying. He said
Like,
that's how they
I'll give you an
break-
example. Peaches blew up on TikTok with 9 fucking seconds. I didn't even know there's 2 other cats in the song. And so I'm like, where the hell these other guys come from?
Who is this?
Because on TikTok, you hear 9 seconds of the song.
Yes, sir.
TikTok has done wonders for the music industry, and I don't think that enough people speak about that.
Oh, I think they speak about it
Yeah,
in the
that's-
music
that's what
industry.
they were-
Yeah, I
they
mean,
had 2 A&Rs on there. That's what they was
look,
talking
man,
about.
there's no marketing budgets right now for music.
Right.
Very few artists have marketing budgets.
Oh, the days of that shit is gone.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
What's cool about TikTok too is it's again, like Destiny's Child with Bills, is bringing old songs
shit
back. It's bringing old shit back to the
They
forefront.
remixing it and everything.
Well,
else.
because how are you? What's your money coming from? You need spins. What happens? What's the consumption patterns of today's generation? We're not buying albums. These kids are taking a song that they like. They're playing it 1,000 times. No, they're playing it 1,000 times and then never listening to it again. Right? Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang is not going to be around in 20 years. But you know what? That shit probably went 3x platinum, probably diamond. Right? With 10 words. Got played over and over and over and over again. That's the time. You know what I mean? So,
Same with everyone.
you know, that's why I say, man, for me, I'm not in the business of questioning shit. I'm in the business of listening and rolling with it.
I enjoy building communities, man. I'm building a community right now on TikTok it's called Hip Hop Card Breaks.
Mm.
And it's literally TikToks of fucking football and basketball cards with hip hop music layered on top. Literally fucking every time me and Lil Los buy fucking packs or boxes, we take the best cards and we're fucking putting them on a desk, and the way they're all lined up and shit, like fucking looks cool. And we're just putting a phone like this where you quickly see the cards, but there's a dope song on top, layered on top. People like this shit. Or we'll go to the store, like tomorrow we're gonna go fucking card shop hopping. Literally, you walk in, you just fucking do like a pan shot of the fucking boxes and all the shit. You put some dope music.
Done.
That's it. It's done. You get a fucking TikTok account for sneakers. Put some dope music with just your fucking shoes.
Yep.
No one ever has to see what you look like. Just your shoes.
Yeah.
You'll blow up. I guarantee you. It's gonna blow up.
Look, I mean, people are consuming
like now, going
content.
back to the playbook. Now that I realize the psychology of how TikTok works, I could do this for any fucking product.
And you should. And you should, especially if you can connect it to conversions. If you can get people to go from that TikTok.
You just got to get them to go to the website.
If you can, that's why I say, if you can get them to go from that TikTok to a website.
I tell people this all the time.
Because that part, let's not that's hard.
To get them to go to the website?
Absolutely. There is a lot of people that get lots of views.
Yes and no.
And no one takes an action off.
So the way I break this down, I put a tweet about this recently. A lot of people want to go viral on social media, but they don't have a system in place. They don't have a product. They don't have a process. They don't have a system in place of what happens when your video goes viral. They just want the video to go viral for the vanity metrics.
Yeah.
But they don't have anything. They don't have a website. They don't have a product. They don't have anywhere to take people to capitalize off of those 5 fucking seconds of fame.
But I think, look, man, this is what's hard, right? It's hard to do all of that at the same time, because if that was the case, you could build $1 billion business like that, right? Let's be real. If you got 325,000 people that are going to click on a website and buy, and it's a $20 product that you have to buy 4 times a year, it's a whole lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
So the fact is, that doesn't happen.
No.
Right? So there's a lot of steps, right? I think there's a process. You have an operating model. You have a way in which that you're approaching it. It's still really, really difficult, right? And when there's money involved, it's hard to stay focused, right? There's a tendency to shift strategy, right? It requires discipline to stick with it. And you know, one of the things that I try to pride myself on with my teams is we try to take one traffic source and master that before we move on. Right? So I am late to TikTok, but we were mastering Instagram as our traffic vehicle. Now, I do want to master TikTok with this brand. So I'm very methodical about it before I just go out and try to do all of them.
Right.
Because you're not dealing in infinite budgets, and things are distractions, and it's hard work, right? You guys have worked at TikTok, but that was the traffic source that you suggested was the one that you went at, and you dominated it. And then at a certain point, you'll say, cool, all right, I'm going to go after some other channels, right? You know, with the other thing. So it's hard, man. It's hard, but it's fun, especially when you have the attitude that you have, right? And you're taking the approach like, shit's just cool.
We just want people to go to the website.
Yeah, that's what everybody wants.
That's the whole thing, bro.
You
if
want
you
people
go
to
to the
buy.
website, I got you captured. Oh, of course I want people to buy.
Yeah.
But fuck it. If you don't buy but you still go to the website, Now,
Well, if you went to the website, you were interested enough and you were thinking about buying.
right, but now I can advertise to you and people like you.
Yeah.
And that's what I want.
My thing is, if I can get you to the
Or fuck
website,
it. If you
were
get to the
considering-
website and you create a cart, and now you've given me your email
oh my god,
and or your phone number or both, and you didn't buy, thank you. At least I have something.
I got a whole lot. I got a whole lot. If you do that, but like you said, shit. If I get you to the website, you know what I mean. It's like it's the same thing with retail stores, right? I tell everybody, right? Like, your goal is to have a sign that says cold beer and people to walk in your door. Because if they walk in your door and it said cold beer, it's a good chance that you wanted cold beer. Now, once you get in there, maybe you don't buy a beer. Maybe you just want to eat the peanuts. And you just want to look at the beer. Maybe you want wine. But shit, I at least got you in the store.
Right.
So if I can get you on the website, I can now listen, learn, observe, tweak, test different things.
Right.
And I can eventually get you to buy.
Right.
It's a damn good day.
It's a damn good day.
But it's hard to get people to that website, especially from these platforms that are priding themselves on keeping people on the platform.
The secret is you can't tell people to go to a website. And
That's what I'm saying. You're creating
the
intrigue.
secret within the secret is you can't make people believe that you want them to buy whatever the fuck you sell.
You're building intrigue. It's
If
the
you
funnel.
were to look at our TikTok right now, you're not going to find a single TikTok where we're telling you, go to our website, we've got a sale. We do all that shit on the email blast, on the fucking text messages. But we don't have a single video where we're fucking driving you to do anything other than just watch a piece of content. Feel a
But
certain type of way.
that content is building some level of awareness, and you're hoping people Google, search
What
it.
I've learned through TikTok is a lot of the content that we post, and even as consumers that we consume, it is, how do I put this, man, into fucking layman terms? It's like manipulation of human behavior. You're playing to people's emotions, and here's a reason why. Because on TikTok,
It's marketing.
yes. Yes, it is marketing. It's the end of marketing. But you're playing to people's emotions because you use music.
Oh, yeah.
You're activating people's different senses.
Yes.
So the music that you use is going to have an impact on what they do with the content that they're creating.
Absolutely.
I love the video of Dogface 420.
Oh, yeah.
The guy that was skateboarding
Absolutely.
with Ocean Spray.
Yeah.
Right? You and me as brand guys can tell that was really a brand play for Ocean Spray.
But he did it
It really was.
and wasn't sponsored by Ocean Spray at the time, I don't think.
Nah, it wasn't.
No, he got sponsored after.
Yeah.
We don't know that.
Well, that's how the story came
We
out.
don't know.
We don't know that,
my friend.
We don't know that, but that's how
We
the story
don't
came.
know that.
I,
Off
yeah.
camera, we can have that conversation.
Yeah, look, I definitely don't know, so I'm not speaking from a point of knowing. So, yeah.
So, the reason why that video popped off was there was a lot of different senses that were being activated
Oh my God.
from
yeah.
that video. First of all, the nostalgia from the music. Okay, you're hearing a Fleetwood Mac song that you're like, what the fuck? I'm on TikTok and I'm hearing Fleetwood Mac. This is an iconic song, bro. The song blew up, right? Kids.
Blew up again because of that.
Kids all of a sudden that have never heard this song, all of a sudden hearing this song. You're watching the guy skateboarding. You're like, what the fuck is he going to do? The dude has an interesting look to him. Now he's drinking a fucking Ocean Spray, which is iconic. An
All
iconic
right.
brand.
So let's
There's a lot of shit going on, bro, in 10 seconds.
No, there's a lot of shit going on, but let's talk.
That's my point,
simplistically.
though.
Let's talk simplistically
Okay.
of what it is. Here's what I love about social.
Mm-hmm.
Social is real time, the core essence of what advertising was. Right?
Mhm.
Like advertising by definition is getting attention. The way in which ads were structured since the beginning of time was leveraging fascination with the familiar and fascination with the abominable. Shock, right? Or familiarity. In order to get that and drive actions, it's usually contrast. So typically if you really, really like an outfit, right, and you look at a runway, what are they doing? They're mastering contrast. So now what are people doing? They go monochromatic with a pop.
Right.
Or they go color blocking, right, and all these things. What that ad was a perfect example of that. You get a guy who looks like, you know, a gangster, shaved head, tattooed, skateboarding. Already contrast. Gangster skateboarding.
Right.
Whoa. Then gangster looked like he just got out of prison with Fleetwood Mac in a slow jam.
Yeah, relaxing ass music.
You know what I mean? The least impressive thing of the whole shit was that he was drinking Ocean Spray.
But Ocean Spray is an iconic brand.
But Ocean Spray was able to leverage that. But what got the attention? It didn't. He could have been fucking drinking Snapple. It didn't matter. That was the least impressive thing of it. But to your point, there was an engine that could capture and do something with it.
So what happened was you watch that. It's I want to say a 12-second clip. So you watch that 12-second clip, and this shit happens so fast that your fucking eyes can't catch up to your fucking brain.
Nope.
So now you gotta watch it again. So guess what? The TikTok algorithm rewards you for watching it. It rewards the creator for watching it again.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, this is actually kind of fucking dope. Let me watch it again.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm feeling good. Let me watch this shit again.
Yo, that's a
And next
real,
thing you know, you've watched this motherfucker like 6-7 times.
Carlos, real game right there. You just gave out. The algorithm rewards you when people watch it over and over again. That's real game, bro. I just you know, when
I
shit comes
study
out,
these things,
I'm just
bro.
saying when shit comes out, because you know sometimes smart people say shit real quick. You know what I mean?
I study these things.
Luigi know my style. I
This
like
is
to
what
double back.
This is
'cause
what
I'm
I
like,
do for
hey,
a
hey,
living.
hey,
I study.
did you catch that?
All right, it's cool that something
Did your
went
shit
viral.
get the repeatability
But
factor?
what made this go viral? Let's break all this shit down. There's a lot of fucking sensors that are being overloaded here that forces you to watch. You can't watch that video one time. You really
You
can't.
don't want to. You're going to keep watching it.
You're gonna
We
keep
look at-
watching it.
We look at shit all the time where we're like, man, you just keep watching it. When it was Pops talking about, yeah.
So
zero
what
shit,
I
you're like,
walked away from that
Watch it again. I gotta watch it
from that was this video was the right amount of length.
Yes.
It was short enough.
Snackable.
It was snackable, thank you, but it was short enough that forces you to watch again. But the music, there's something in the music that makes you feel good.
And his face.
And again, all these other factors, you're like, what am I really seeing here?
It's brilliant. It's brilliant, man. It's I love creative, right? I love social creative because of how much thought goes into things. And I always say to folks, you know, anybody can get lucky and create a viral piece of content. When you start to become a creative, meaning you are paid to do that, you got to do that shit over and over again. And what you're doing is breaking down elements so that can be replicated. 99.9% of the population just watched it and said that was cool. Would not know how to repeat that. And so, I'm serious. So if you find yourself where you're able to replicate that over and over again, guess what you'll become? Fucking billionaire in digital. And you find folks that have sold e-commerce businesses, they don't sell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Man, it's something to be said for that shit.
Do you want to know? And on camera, I don't disclose financials because I have baby mamas and ex-wives out there. So just out of principle, I don't discuss financials.
And hey,
But
shit.
I will say this. We've sold a lot of masks over the last year, building a presence on TikTok, and we've only really used one song. We've done multiple TikToks, hundreds,
of course.
and we've used different songs, but we've consistently used one song. There's going to be a day where I meet this young lady, independent artist named Natalie Taylor. She has a song called Surrender.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most sappiest song that you could hear. Okay? We create videos of us going to Walmart and Target and Home Depot and these stores, and we give masks to frontline workers. And they put the mask on to the tunes of this sad, sappy song. And it works because we tap into people's emotion through music. But the visuals are also being activated that goes along with the music.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying before. With TikTok, the magic behind TikTok is being able to activate people's different senses.
But Carlos, let's not minimize the experience that you have, right? You're a classical brand builder, right? You've done ads at large scale. We work with music houses that do just that. I can tell you every commercial that I've had to create for any brand, Tide, Gillette, I don't give a fuck, you name it, picking the music was one of the hardest things. It's so subjective.
It really
right?
is.
And you're trying to connect it to the emotion and the emotive response that you're looking to drive people towards a reaction. And I think what's beautiful about advertising, and again, I use fascination with the familiar and fascination with the abominable, because I'm playing at extremes of emotions that drive people to act. You don't want something to be like, kind of funny. You want things to be fucking hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You push the extremes. That's why you're catching, these SoundCloud rappers. They have a visual look that's extreme. Crazy colored hair, tattoos on the face. They're pushing the boundaries of the abominable. Tekashi 6ix9ine is a genius and a master at what he's done. It's what he's pushing on. And it's evoking these emotions for people to then watch. We can't help but watch
We can't.
those things. That's just how our brains are wired. But this is really high-level marketing, and this is why I tell folks when they're like, "Oh man, that's for kids," and I
No,
said,
it's not
"Man,
for
it's not
kids.
kids. These are just new mediums, but the fundamentals still apply, dude.
Yeah.
If you could have made a great commercial 20 years ago, you can make a fantastic fucking TikTok.
We got a video.
It's just, are you willing to adapt
we got
and
a
do
video.
it?
We got a video with about 9 million views
Amazing.
to Justin Bieber "Lonely." When Justin Bieber came out the song "Lonely," okay, Justin Bieber came out with the song "Lonely," and it's like the perfect song to pair up with people that are going through some shit in life.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so literally, this is around the holidays. My family and I were at Mellow Mushroom, and I asked the waitress, mind you, I'm recording her, so she sees I'm recording her, and that's like the magic of social media too.
Yeah.
People kind of like when they see a phone, they kind of like
They're okay with it now.
they know what's going on.
Yeah. They're like,
Reggie and I call it the show. They want to be
Yeah.
part of the show.
Yeah, yeah.
So they know kind of what's going on. So I'm like, what do you think of the mask on your face? She's like, it's trash. How do you like a better mask? I would love that. Well, here's an Outlaw mask. And she's like, oh my God, are you serious? And she like puts her hands on her mouth. She's like, oh. And she rips off her mask right away, shows the camera, like my phone. She drops it and then puts on the Outlaw mask. And we put Justin Bieber "Lonely" as the soundtrack to that moment in time.
I love it. I love it.
9 million views.
I love it. 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 I love it.
So again, it goes back to if you are a marketer like we are, you've done mass media, like you understand the impact that music plays, which is why I love TikTok.
Emotive responses, man.
Because man, music takes content up another fucking notch.
It reinforces it, right? It reinforces the visual. It helps you tell a story.
Got another one, Rockstar by the Baby. One of our first viral videos was when Dennis Schroeder wore a mask.
Yeah.
And that day, Reggie was with his family driving, and he pulled, like, I hit him up. I was like, bro, like, where are you at right now? He's like, I'm driving. I was like, you got to pull over, when I broke the news to him. And I actually sent him the post. He was at Culver's parking lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard Culver's before,
Yeah.
the burger chain.
Yeah.
And his wife captured the raw emotion. And that was a moment like we felt like we made it. And then I put Rockstar because the words of Rockstar align with that moment.
It's high level marketing, man. It's high level marketing. But why I love this, man, is like I want anyone to take away from this is the level of thoughtfulness that's going into it. And there's a lot of creators that are young that are doing this intuitively that deserve more credit.
Yeah.
Because, there is this break in the industry where there's not a lot of respect given to these quote unquote kids that are creating this stuff. And I said, shit. If you really smart, you better find ways to hire these kids and listen because they're doing real game, man.
I don't want to spoil it for anyone out there, but in my book, The End of Marketing, the future of the marketing department is actually brands hiring creators to be their creative directors,
100%.
their CMOs, their chief digital officers.
Well, CMOs are functionally changing, right?
Oh, absolutely.
CMOs are growth hackers. It's much more analytical. It's much more of a technical role, right, in managing funnels, audiences, that kind of piece. So it's a much more technical skill than it is a creative skill. Your creative directors, who's getting attention? You'd be foolish not to bring on the folks that know how to get attention. And I mean, I had an old school marketer tell me flat out, man, I thought I was hot shit running my agency. And Luigi knows this story. And he flat out told me, this guy was 70 years old. And he right away pulled up my Instagram. He said, Keenan, I think you're a great marketer, man. I like what you guys are doing and going after. But you don't have any followers. He's like, so I don't know that I can trust it. Come back when you got some followers. Humbled me. I had to just sit there. Bro, I was a grown ass man. I was 30 something.
He was how old?
He was 70 something. And just checked me right out the gate. And I have to give him credit. Shout out to David Bell for. Nah, we good.
Good, thanks, bro.
I give him so much credit, man, for not being so stuck. This is the original Madman. You know what I mean? He could easily be like, these kids don't know what they're doing. In my day, I did blah, blah, blah. Nah, he looked at it for what it is.
Oh, man. I enjoy
And I love that.
Yeah,
so to your point, look, all the education in the world, it doesn't matter. You got to master that. And there's some kids that I think are geniuses, man. At it, and I think there's a lot of folks that are highly talented and skilled, but haven't applied it to these new things because they're stubborn and they're afraid to start over. And I'm like, man, just start over. It's okay. Take the skills and apply it and do exactly what you're doing. And all of a sudden, your dude organically getting 9 million views. Let's talk real.
Let me tell you something.
How much will we pay as a brand to get 9 million views?
A lot.
Straight up and down. What will we pay?
A lot of fucking money.
Bro, I know for a fact $75,000 for every million.
Let me tell you
views.
something, bro.
Tell you real numbers.
Let me tell you something, man. Like, I'm going.
So somebody quicker than me do 75,000 times 9.
I'm going through a renaissance in my career right now because I'm doing a lot of consulting work for enterprise brands.
Yeah.
And it's centered around TikTok because they're like,
Smart.
well, fuck. How did you do this seemingly with nothing?
And Clubhouse is going to be next.
I disagree.
People got to figure out how to master Clubhouse.
Spotify just came out with a Clubhouse competitor.
Dude, everybody's going to come out with that, right? Everyone's going to come out with competitors, right?